It's called Gettin Out. Had a bit of a jaunt yesterday. Got myself invited Lincolnshire by those far Welshers. Half a dozen of them had come to file. They were gradely lads. Anyway, they said I should meet them in Louth, as they call Lower. It's a proper town with leaks on. But then they took me down these wigglety-wagglety dark lanes, and I weren't so sure where I were, and I begun to wonder what were going on. Anyhow, when we get into do, there were loads of them. Hey, a lot of big fellas too. That knows, farmer types, well-fed sort, not those that is fat because they do not. Anyway, there's something to do with sheep. I'm not sure what. I didn't like to ask. But they have a big picture of a yow at Wallet getting upside down. And so I didn't start out, me just being a little factory lad and my own mates are far away. Anyway, about a pint for biggest chappers were shut at front. I thought that were safest bet, and I waited for proceedings. As luck will have it, an old mate of mine, Brian Dawson, he'd come in, and he belongs round here, no? He knows their ways, and he's up next to me. Probably to stop myself getting in any bother. I felt a bit better then. Anyhow, then big fella at front, he gets up out of his chair, and he taps on his glass with his pen, and they all shut up and look at him. And when they see how much he's been drinking, they all sit quiet. Anyway, then all gam starts, and folk get up at front, and they start giving out poetry and stories and like, and they were very good, but they get some of the words wrong, because I'd not heard them before. And I reckon that this big fella in front, he knew that they get, and he says to them, he made some of them get up and say wrongest word as they could think on. And then all priest had to muddle out what he should have been. Hey, my mate Brian were best at this because he knows more wrong words than anybody else. Anyhow, then all women folk come in. We were bagging. Hey, and there were a lot of them too, tidy lassies, and very nice it were. But next time I go, I'm about to sit a bit further away from their sausages. Because it's just sort of thing where a fella can make a fool of himself. We haven't too many. We calls it ballywarch. Anyhow, I've been chatting to this farmer chappie next to me, as they all called Handy. And he looked like he could be too, in a tight corner. And I says, I've come many miles, and I don't know where I am, because everything's dark and flat and straight. And he said, it's not, and that comes near my farm, there's big hills. Well, I didn't want to start a row with him. So I says, well, I'll go and have a look at morning. But before they let me go, they asked me to do a turn, which I thought were very kind. So I told them about Gilbert Scott selling his murder at Werricking Fair, and about Thomas o' Williams having his calf killed to be tit outside pub, and about John o' Grinfield going off to fight French. And then I told him as Ned Waff had written, come one to the children and me, and everybody had liked it. And when as I told them as it's a long way to Tipperary, with one of ours and all from Staley Bridge, well, they all joined in, and when I finished, they clapped their hands, and I think I've a lot of new mates in Lincolnshire now. Anyway, big fella at front must have liked it, because he took me back down all those wigglety-wagglety dark lanes, back to me dig. Aye, and they were very posh. I had a bed to myself, and it were right next to the lavvy. Anyhow, that morning I get up and I went looking for Andy's Hills. Well, I found them, but they were a bit fiddly and small. They calls them wolds. See, they wrong word again. Anyhow, as I were on a bit of a jaunt, I doubt I'd go back over Cumber Bridge where I've never been before. And when I get there, they make you pay. They nobody told me that. Anyway, I paid else they ain't not to let me off. Perhaps they're short of brass because it's held up with scaffolding and wire ropes and whatnot. But they have a little cafe, and I thought, I'll get me dinner here. By gum, they know how to charge and all. 30 bob for a cup of tea. And then I realised there should have been a great big sign that says, caution, thou art perilous close to Yorkshire. And then it wouldn't come as such a surprise. Anyhow, I getting going with my head down, and I were home in time for tea. So I've just been out to buy some of those Lincolnshire pork sausages, and I'm bound to eat them and think about all my new mates.
mates, Sid. I think you just insulted half the audience.